The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRCMedia, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to FRC Media News. I'm Keith Tebow. Over the next few weeks, we're going to experiment with a little different format of our news program. Instead of having segments throughout the period of the program, we're going to conduct in-depth interviews with individuals on topics that impact Fall River. This week, we're going to focus on education. Bristol Community College President Dr. Laura Douglas is retiring next month after 7.5 years leading Bristol. We spent some time with her to go over her career, her impact here at the college, and the future of higher education within our region. Dr. Douglas, thank you for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. Let me ask you, you're retiring in January. We talked about this before, but what went into that decision?
Well, you know, I am turning 65, and I have worked most of my entire life, starting as a young teenager, and I certainly love what I do, but my husband has never known me for anything other than a senior administrator. And that means that I'm on 24/7. And I think, during the pandemic, that was kind of like dog years for us. It was 24/7, literally. It was round the clock challenges. And it was a very exhilarating time to be able to lead the college and to make sure that we got our students and faculty and staff through that pandemic safely. Yet I began to feel as though, my family and my husband were getting a little slighted there, and I recognized that life is there's more to life than work, and I felt that the college was in a really good place. So it was about a year ago that I made that decision. And when I say that the college is in a really good place, I mean that in terms of financially, our enrollment is doing very, very well. Our accreditation, we just got word that our accreditation is wonderful for the next 10 years. So it's a really good time to make this handoff to a new president. And everyone here has worked so hard under my leadership. I brought in a lot of change. I'm very much aware of that. But when I came to the college, we didn't have a strong foundation with technology. I was asked to build new systems and processes and to really modernize Bristol Community College. And we're there. Yeah. We're a leader in our technology acquisitions and functions, and it has allowed us to gain our enrollment numbers that we have been working so hard to achieve. So, everybody wants to go out on a high note. I do too. Right. And this is my high note.
It's funny, we talked about it when you started here, 7.5 years ago in July of 2017, that, you actually have ties, family ties to Fall River. Talk about that. Remind people about that.
Yeah, my grandfather was born on Buffington Street in Fall River. He was the son of Irish immigrants who had come here in the late 1800s. My great-grandfather, he repaired the cotton looms, and my great-grandmother, after she had children, actually also worked in a cotton mill. And I always like to remind people, you can't see it on the camera, but the table that I have in my office is made from the floorboards of the cotton mills, and the base is also from manufacturing equipment. And that is a really good reminder of my family roots and how people came here seeking a better life. My grandfather was the first in his family to graduate from high school. My mother was the first in her family to graduate from college. So these ties are extremely important. This Fall River was the city that welcomed my family, and it is wonderful to give back, especially as we work so hard to create a college-going culture in this corner of Massachusetts, which has been a little bit slower to achieve the rates that the rest of the Commonwealth has achieved.
That actually leads into my next question. You talk about creating that college-going culture. How do you define that, and how well do you think you've succeeded in doing that in your time here?
Yeah, so when I first arrived, I spent a lot of time listening out in the community. So I listened to families and parents and students and faculty and staff and teachers in our community, and I asked them about going to college. And many times I heard, well, you know, I only have a high school education and it's been good enough for me, so I don't really think that my children necessarily need to go to college. But when we dug a little deeper, we found that, you know, our average family in Fall River and New Bedford, their median family income was just $40,000 at that time in 2017. Now it's gone up a little bit, but it really didn't make for a lot of stability in life. You know, if you lose your job, if you don't have health insurance, you know, your ability to take a vacation, to buy a home, all of those things become very complicated. Yes, maybe you can scrape by. And we began to explore what it might mean for families to embrace this idea of college. And it was at an event that we had at Diamond High School when we were creating our 3-year bachelor's degree in engineering, that when we talked about salaries and we talked about health insurance and we talked about the ability to buy a home and we talked about the ability to vacation and support a family, that families all of a sudden said, you know, I'm okay with that. As long as it's not going to drain the bank, right? As long as I don't have to pay a whole lot of money for that college education. So fast forward, you know, we started building our early college programs and our dual enrollment programs that allow students to get college classes while they're still in high school. And for some of them, they may get a full year of college courses or more. I think about Argosy. Argosy is a full wall-to-wall. All their students now are taking Bristol Community College courses. And so they have a very short time then in which to come and complete an associate's degree and then even transfer on to get a bachelor's degree. And so this has become very popular with families because all of a sudden college becomes not only affordable but easy, because here I am, a college student when I'm in high school. And from there, we went on and started to work on a lot of other pieces. We have many endowed scholarships. That's one of the things that's happened under my tenure in working with our advancement office. We've been able to really ramp up those endowed scholarships to help students get a leg up. And then, of course, we began working on free community college with Mass Reconnect, the 25 and older, and now Mass Educate for students with a high school diploma. So I think the success of that has been really wonderful. In fact, I like to share with people, I don't go yelling it from the rooftops, but when I arrived in 2017, we were the 5th largest community college in Massachusetts.
Right. In terms of enrollment?
In terms of enrollment and head count. And this fall of 2024, we have moved up to the 3rd spot. And of course, in between, we got to number 4 a few years ago. And yes, we lost students during the pandemic, as all community colleges did. But we were able to recoup a lot of that, luckily, because we also have a couple of fantastic elements in place. We have excellent marketing and communication. We've really used social media as a platform to engage with students from all walks of life and their parents. And we also have used technology with a customer relations management platform to engage with students to make sure they have everything that they need to enroll, to be accepted, to have their orientation, to make everything just as seamless as possible. And we have really been the front runners in Slate, and now Bristol is actually the lead college and helping other colleges in Massachusetts and the other community colleges, because we've been able to do so incredibly well. And then another factor of success is that we've used Flex Start as a very good tool. Every fall and every spring, we enroll another 300, 400, 500, 600 students because they show up on our doorstep. They're first in their families to go to college. They don't understand that there's some prep work before you show up to classes. They come like the day before classes start, and they think that they can, submit their submit their application, get their financial aid. It's like, no. But whereas other colleges say, all right, you're going to have to wait until January, in September, for example, they say, well, you didn't make the deadline. We've got all these things you have to do.
And that's another opportunity to maybe lose them.
And an opportunity to lose them. We say, all right, we're going to have you start. It's going to be a more manageable semester. It's going to be part-time. And we're going to have you start with this a little later. But that's going to get you onboarded. It's going to get you, you're going to be a part of our college community. And then in January, when the spring semester starts, then you'll be able to take classes full time if that's what you want to do. I also think that our modalities of face-to-face, hybrid and online have been very helpful. And of course, that we have 4 locations in Bristol County. We're really large, and this county is really large, and we can't have students driving an hour to come to one particular campus. And so while there's some cost in underwriting these campuses, and we have to thank our foundation for that because they do a terrific job in funding that, it has really provided access to families and students to earn their college degree.
In your mind, what are the prospects of Mass Educate and Mass Reconnect continuing? Is it one of those, I'll call it an entitlement, although it's an opportunity, maybe an opportunity is a better way to phrase it, an opportunity that once it's here, it may be kind of difficult to reel it back in?
Yeah, I think that it's here to stay. And one of the reasons why we have Mass Reconnect, which is 25 and older, and Mass Educate for those who are 18 or high school graduates and older, is because it really creates a little bit of flexibility for the Commonwealth. So Mass Reconnect, the 25 and older program, is funded by the legislature. And it's not an expensive program. And that's because most of the cost is picked up by federal financial aid. That has to be exhausted first, and then we pay, or Massachusetts pays on top of that. And we found that the ratio is very small of Massachusetts dollars to federal financial aid. So that's built in, and it's not an exorbitant cost, and I do think that there's a lot of longevity built in with that program. And then Mass Educate for 18 or the high school grads and older, that program is paid for by the millionaire's tax. So it's a different funding opportunity, and that's for those people who are high wealth earners, and they pay an additional tax, and that tax is only to support education and transportation in the Commonwealth. So that money has gone to Mass Educate, and it also is not a lot of money in the scheme of things, because a lot of money has been collected in the first year of the millionaire's tax, or the Fair Share Amendment. So if something happens to the Fair Share Amendment and the millionaire's tax, then we can have Mass Reconnect. But really the two of them are very important, and I'll tell you why.
Sure.
You don't want an 18-year-old graduating from high school to say, all right, I can't afford college, so I'm going to go to work and I'm going to wait until I'm 25. That doesn't make sense, right? It really makes sense for a student to go as quickly into college and get out of college quickly.
Yeah, because life gets in the way if you wait, right?
Life gets in the way, plus the earlier they're in a higher paying job with benefits and everything else, then they can start building their own wealth, and they have that security.
You mentioned the success of Mass Educate, Mass Reconnect, and moving forward, how that'll impact the region. there have also been studies that say just generally people aren't having as many children, so there aren't as many college eligible students that are graduating high school going to college. And that's impacted Bristol over the years in terms of the college's overall enrollment. Do you think this will help? And again, I guess more on a more macro level, talk about how an educated workforce will benefit the economy of our region.
So yes, we're all very worried about what we call the cliff of 2025. That's really a product of the last recession when families didn't have as many children because things were expensive and people lost their jobs, so they don't have children. And but we do see that trend of families having fewer children, and it's not just an American phenomenon. It's many modern day countries that are, very advanced with advanced economies. And it's more expensive to have children. That's all there is to it. So yes, there is a decline, and really what is happening is something that I think is quite Darwinian. It's the survival of the fittest. And quite frankly, that's why when I came in 2017, we began with the customer relations management software. We did not have things in place that allowed us to quickly accept and onboard a student to get them in the pipeline. And we were, in the last week before the start of classes, we were enrolling 90% of our students. That was not a good situation for our students. They were not prepared. That creates higher opportunities for dropping out. We knew that we had to really restructure those things. I think it's fair to say, and we've seen this in Massachusetts over the last 7.5 years that I've been here, we've lost quite a few colleges. And that's because it's very hard to survive when you have fewer than 1,000 students. This is where Bristol Community College is well positioned, especially going from the 5th position to the 3rd position. When we can maintain our strength and we have a great reputation, we'll be able to survive over time. Yeah, there may be some bumps along the way. We can never predict things like the pandemic. That just accelerated this challenge for many schools and universities. So I think that what we will see is a number of other small, likely private liberal arts schools, not the publics, but probably the liberal arts schools that are struggling now financially, not have the ability to survive, or they will couple with other like colleges to eke out some more years in order to survive. They may share administrations or other types of things to make sure that college is still accessible, because many colleges have just priced themselves out of the market. So you mentioned, why is college important?
Right.
And college is important for a number of reasons, right? We are, and I'm going to share some, I don't think I've ever shared this with you or on any of my appearances on some of the shows around the area, radio or TV. There's something very important in human development, and that's our cognitive development. So just as we're developing physically, our brains are developing as well. And when we bring in young people, especially these 18-year-olds who are coming in as freshmen, some of them are 19, what have you, we really want to help those minds develop and grow. Sometimes your ability to process, to think, to analyze gets stuck. Believe it or not, it gets stuck. And we see that with some individuals. They're never able to get beyond very black and white thinking. And most of us understand that in the real world, most thinking is very gray. We need to take that gray material and we need to evaluate it. We need to look at data. We need to talk to people. We need to go through some processes in order to make some of the best decisions. And with a college education, with the ability to analyze, with the ability to process diverse viewpoints, we begin to develop cognitively and rise up to a higher level that will make us I think more intelligent human beings, better leaders, better managers, better employees, because we'll be able to make really good decisions. So that's one thing about a college degree. Another is just the practical hands-on skills and learning needed in jobs today. We just are getting an associate degree in AI approved. This is huge for our region. We just had done cybersecurity several years back and a certificate. These are creating new jobs in our areas. We have offshore wind, right? We have the National Offshore Wind Institute. We have an associate degree and a certificate in offshore wind. What happens is there's a chicken and an egg phenomenon that happens. If people are looking to come into Bristol County with a new industry or a large business or even a medium-sized or small business, they need to know that there is a workforce that is either educated and trained for these jobs or is trainable. And so to be trainable, you really also have to have some foundation of skills. And so even with an associate degree, a 2-year degree, you can learn some very basic skills that then an employer can take and build upon to really bring that industry or business up to a high production level where they're bringing in dollars, they're bringing in jobs, and it provides a really important community for us. It's the tax base, it's the giving back, it's all the things that help us be a better community. And Bristol County has opportunities to develop some new relationships with business and industry, which will bring in better jobs, better incomes, and that's good for everybody.
You have championed the expansion of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, DEIB initiatives here at the college. How has that impacted the culture here, and how important is it to continue to have Bristol as a welcoming space for all?
You know, when you look at someone, you may not understand that full level of diversity. Many of our students have come from families that have struggled economically. Some of our students come from single-parent households. Some of them have moved around and had very disruptive student experiences. Some of our students are from the LGBTQ+ community. Some are from immigrant families. We have so much diversity here at Bristol Community College. And to make sure that we are welcoming and inclusive is really important, and not just of our students, but also our faculty and staff. And it really gives me great pride when I talk to students, when I don't even remember maybe what I said directly to a student, and a student will come back to me years later and say, I can't tell you how you made me feel. You made me feel welcome. They remember, and I think, what was it that I said? What did I say? Good job.
Bottled it up.
But did I say, did I ask them about their schoolwork? Did I, just suggest that they take a deep breath and get back on track, or that we're not always successful the first time around in a course? Whatever it is, students need to know that that they will get support here, and faculty and staff. And it was interesting when I announced my retirement. It was really meaningful to me when students and faculty and staff came to me and said, you really made me feel welcome at this college. There are many communities where I've not felt welcome, and I felt welcome here, and that has made a huge difference in my life. So yes, we do have a number of initiatives that focus on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. We have the Success Program, which provides wraparound student support services. We have resources for students who are who don't have maybe food or housing. We have homeless students. These are all aspects of diversity that are really important to our college, and we are really working hard to meet students where they are.
A lot of people look at Bristol and say, well, they're a community college, they're an educational institution. But I know that under your tenure and previous presidents' tenure, it's more than that. You want to be a valued member of the community, and that includes developing partnerships with organizations and governments. How does that play out for people? And again, how important is that relationship?
That's the other part of my life that most employees never see, quite frankly. But it is a really important part of the president's role, and one that I have taken very seriously. We were Large Business of the Year for one SouthCoast Chamber. We were also a Large Business of the Year for the Taunton Chamber of Commerce. And we have been very fortunate to win a number of community awards because we are so visible in the community. I always tell people, I have a long career in community college leadership, and I always tell people, you've made it when the phone rings and somebody says, I need Bristol Community College to be my solution. So what that really means is, gee, my business is changing and my employees don't have the skills that they need. And we need to do some very specific training and professional development so my company can remain competitive. Or, Laura, I can't find accountants. What can we do to find accountants? Or the bank saying, you know what, we can't find tellers. How can we work with you to find tellers? Well, one example was Bay Coast Scholars was born, right? Our program where we train young people right out of high school. They have an accelerated associate degree in business. They work as a teller 3 days a week. They then go on and get their bachelor's degree. It solves a problem, right? Investment in them as human beings and future bankers has paid off. Yep. And those are the types of solutions that we find when we are out in the community and talking to people. And they only come about once you have a relationship with someone. Most people don't think, I'm new to this community college. I'm new to this community. I'm going to call the president of Bristol Community College. Most people call me after they've seen me at a chamber event, or
right.
They've seen me at a economic development event, or some other community event that maybe we're hosting on our campus. Maybe it's Mosaic, our DEI panel. Right. All of those provide opportunities to build relationships. Relationships matter, and without relationships, it's very difficult to do the job of a community college. Community is our middle name.
Right. Let me ask you as we wrap up, what's been the best part of the job?
The best part of the job is student success. When I see students out in the community, alumni out in the community, it's just the most wonderful thing in the world when people tell me that Bristol Community College changed their lives and that they felt respected and cared for and well educated by Bristol Community College. That students are our reason for being, and that's what really matters the most. And I can't go anywhere in Bristol County without finding our alums and our students. And, days are hard as a president. You can have really long days, really long weeks. I work most days, regular schedule, here at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then after work, I'm at a community event or doing something in our community, facilitating some partnership or entertaining donors. Those days are long, but it's always fulfilling when you see the success of our students and recognize that this legacy that I hope to achieve of creating a college-going culture has come to fruition.
Well, Dr. Douglas, I want to thank you for your time today, but more importantly, thank you for your support. As many people know, FRCmedia is housed here at Bristol Community College. This will probably be the last time we speak formally in this kind of atmosphere, but I want to thank you for your support of FRCmedia and all we've been able to do here. Our success has also been attributed to your work and your support with us. So I appreciate your time. All the best in retirement, and hopefully we'll talk again soon. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Keith. All the best to you.
Thank you for joining us for this special edition of FRCmedia News. Please join us on December 26th and January 2nd as we produce a special edition of FRCmedia News where we look back at the top stories in Fall River for 2024. For all of us here at FRCmedia News, I'm Keith Tebow. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.